Yellow onions, Italian bacon. Right off, here we go. Beautiful, just a little bit, 15 minutes. Peeling them, we don't want them to burn. Chicken broth, half cover, turning non-stop, golden on the outside, caramelized, some sweetness, turning them around, exactly what we want. Absolutely delicious. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Cooking for the Real World with Cookman G. Today we have our cameraman Matthias that's filming right now. We also have our second cameraman Elliot, who's also here with me, as we're going to start cooking some carrots. Now these aren't your ordinary carrots, these are world-class, absolutely awesome, super duper delicious carrots that my kids love, and I'm sure that yours will too. So what do we have on our cooking table today? Well, we have about 9 of these really large carrots, just like so. We have 2 yellow onions, like these ones here. We have some chicken broth, like you can tell, about a quart of chicken broth, and some pancetta, which is essentially some Italian bacon, okay? Those are our basic ingredients. What we're gonna need in order to set all this up, we're gonna need our butcher knife, which I always use, my favorite. We're gonna need a good chopping board. We're gonna need our deep pan like this with its lid, like so, a peeler, some salt and pepper, and some olive oil. Those are our basic ingredients and what we'll be using throughout the day. So the way I like to start this is by chopping up the onions, all right? So let's have a quick look at how we do this. Personally, I like to chop off the 2 tips, like this. Then I peel off 1 layer of the skin, as so. Go ahead and peel it right off. Okay, make it easy. Okay. And the intention is to end up with some onion bits that we're going to be putting in our deep pan to fry. Okay, so I made 2 incisions the lengthwise, and here I am just slicing down like this in order to have little bits. As these start to cook, they're going to start to caramelize and just be absolutely tender and delicious. If you have some white wine handy, that's also really good to use with these onions as they start to cook. So here we go. This is just 1 onion being prepped. We're going to prep our second onion the exact same way. We're going to put these out to cook. All right. So as I prepare my second onion, I'll let you guys get started and we'll be back in a second. Now we've chopped up our 2 onions, and this is what they look like. Beautiful onions that are sliced in little pieces, just like so. And as they start to cook, they're just going to naturally come apart. We're going to put them in our deep pan right now, like so. Excellent. All right. And you're going to see that both the carrots and the onions will reduce considerably. That's how they get all that taste and their flavor inside, all right? So we have our 2 onions in here. We're going to put some olive oil and a little bit of this chicken stock that we have. All right, so let's add the chicken stock. There we go, just a little bit, douse it in there, and a little bit of the olive oil, like so, boom. All right, and we're gonna put these on the pan, on the heat, in order to cook, right? Now, personally, I like to use about heat grade number 7. This is what I like to use, and I'll be stirring them on and off for about 15 minutes, all right? So they're in here. I'll be using my wooden spoon in order to mix them so that they don't burn, all right? Let's let those start going, and in the meantime, we'll start working on the carrots. So as I mentioned earlier, we have 9 of these fairly large carrots. These are the ones that we'll be using to cook our delicious meal. So we start off by just peeling them. So basic peel. All right. Again, the idea here is to have delicious, nutritious meals that the whole family can enjoy, either as a side dish or as a main course. So we have our carrots. We chopped off our ends. What I do here usually is I cut the carrots in half, so I have a large trunk size here on this end and a smaller piece on this side here. On the larger piece, I'll cut it right down the middle, okay, in 2 pieces, so that I'm cutting literally quarters of the carrots, okay? And then off I go just down the middle. All right. My pieces are somewhat thick. Again, these carrots will reduce in the heat as they simmer down with the onions and the bacon in a little bit. The idea here is to have pieces about this size, okay, so fairly thick, as you can see, because they will reduce so much. So that was our large side of the carrot. On the smaller side of the carrot, I'm just gonna cut them right down the middle in half, okay, place them end to end, and off I go, chopping these down. Again, we try to get relatively consistent size pieces of carrot through and through. This is the size that we're getting on these little halves, okay? And I'm gonna be working away on the other 9 carrots as our onions heat up. Very good. And one of the things that I absolutely love about all these dishes when we're cooking for the real world is that we can do them while doing all sorts of other activities. So here I am in the kitchen, I'm preparing the carrots, but I'm here also accompanied by my 2 cameramen. Here we have Elliot and Matthias, and they're playing a little game here. They're doing some puzzle pieces. Elliot is also eating some zucchini soup, which we'll be showing you guys how to make in another episode. Hey Elliot, what's your favorite meal?
Zucchini soup.
I know, it's delicious. How about you, Matthias?
Pasta.
Your pasta. Matthias is a pasta guy. We'll be looking at those a little bit later.
And also lasal. It's a type of flat fish.
That's right, a type of flounder. So we'll be discussing all of those and hopefully making them with you very shortly. In the meantime, we're back to chopping our carrots. Here they are, that's what they are. They're starting to look like. I'm about halfway through a bunch of carrots. And while we're at it, let's have a quick look at how our onions are doing. Again, I'm gonna just start stirring them lightly. As you can see here, they're just starting to cook and bake, again with just a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of a chicken broth inside. That's what they're starting to look like. They're now turning clear, and we're going to wait for them to start caramelizing. All right. So we'll be back in a minute. I'm going to keep chopping my carrots, and we'll see you guys in just a minute. Thanks for watching. All right. So now we're going to check in on our onions again. I've added a generous portion of chicken broth. The intention is that we don't want the onions to actually start getting overcooked or to burn. So I always like to have them in a little bit of liquid, in this case chicken broth. You can also use water if you like. The idea is that they cook and they start to get that wonderful taste as they're cooking inside their own juice and also the broth, all right? We don't want them to burn. When they start to caramelize, turn that caramel color, that's because we're in the right direction, all right? I'm gonna half cover them up, like so, and let them continue doing what they're supposed to be doing. We'll be back in just a minute. All right, so our onions right now are getting a beautiful golden coloring. Let's see what they look like. Just like so. That's really where we want to get them. We do not want to overcook them. This is just about right, and what we'll do at this point is we'll just add all of our carrots directly into that. So our raw carrots are going to go straight with the onions. All right, let's see what that looks like. All right, so now we have our carrots. This is what they look like. These are our 9 chopped carrots. They're beautiful and they're ready to go straight into the onions. So let's do this all together. Right, all the carrots, we'll pour them right into our, oh my goodness, I'm putting some all over the place. But we're putting them directly in our saucepan, our deep saucepan. Okay, so you can see 9 carrots is probably about right for the maximum amount of carrots that I can put into the saucepan. Right. Grab the ones that fell on the sides, put these as well. All right, so now we have our carrots inside our saucepan with our onions, and we're going to be adding with that some of the chicken broth. All right, so again, a generous portion of chicken broth, maybe about half of this pack of chicken broth. Okay, and our carrots are going to slowly cook within this. Once we have our chicken broth with our carrots, we're going to grab our little pack of pancetta. Right, remember our pancetta, our Italian bacon. We're going to put this right inside as so. Okay, make sure everything goes in. And now we're going to try and stir it all together. We're going to try and stir everything together so that they all mix well and blend in nicely. All right. Our heat, our cooking plate should be on heat number 7 approximately. Okay, that's what we have it on right now. And we're going to half cover this as so. And we're just gonna let it cook. We're gonna let all of this marinate and cook together, maybe about 30 minutes or so, and we'll stir occasionally every about 5 minutes while the kids are doing homework or playing a game. I can come in, I can smell how rich this beautiful meal is gonna smell. You're gonna taste, and I'm gonna stir it all together as we go along. All right, I'm gonna show you guys how to do that as I move through it. In the meantime, enjoy your afternoon. Now we've got our carrots that are simmering right here. They're on heat number 7. And as you can see, I took the top off. I took the cover off with the intention to just kind of let that chicken broth evaporate a little bit here. Okay, so I've been turning non-stop since we last spoke, and we can see and we can hear that now they're going to start to caramelize. All right, so I'm going to check back in about 5 or 10 minutes in order to see how these things are doing. But certainly they're starting to look really good and delicious. And the chicken broth is slowly evaporating. When the chicken broth is gone, that's when our carrots are going to start to caramelize. And we're going to see what we do in terms of a little trick to get them nice and sweet when we come back. So our carrots are simmering down and they're starting to smell wonderful. Here, let's have a look at these. As you can see, they're starting to caramelize a little bit. We can see some of that texture going, some of that brownness settling in. They're looking great. All the chicken broth has evaporated from these, which means that they're now cooking and getting nice and crisp on the bottom. So now it's really important to think about stirring them every couple minutes or so, just to make sure that they don't burn. The last thing we want are some burned carrots, right? We just want them to be nice and crispy, toasted. We want them to reduce to get some of that wonderful taste inside of them, but we don't want them to burn. All right, so let's let them simmer, let's let them cook, and remember to keep stirring them every couple of minutes or so. Look at that. You can see them all starting to get nice and golden on the outside, browning up. That's really going to be the nice sweet taste that we're looking for. All right, so just keep stirring and we'll check it in a couple of minutes. So as you can see, they've started to caramelize. We're getting some of that brownish color in them, some texture. That's where all that wonderful taste is really going to reside, okay? So we keep stirring them a little bit, and we're going to add our super secret ingredient right now, which is nothing other than 100% pure maple syrup, okay? Let's add a little bit of this in. It's gonna give our carrots some sweetness and gonna help them get nice and golden. So you see, I'm not adding a lot. As soon as I do, you can just hear it start to sizzle. You can see you can hear the carrots start to sizzle, and you can smell that wonderful maple syrup, smoky smell settling in, the sweetness really rubbing up on the carrots. So we're going to start just turning them around here like this. Make sure that all the carrots get a nice proportion of that maple syrup. And we're going to turn down the heat now. We're going to turn down the heat to about 3 or 4 on 10, as so. Okay, and we're going to again let it sit, turning constantly now for 2-3 minutes. And as you can see, these carrots really went down in size. Remember, this deep pan was overflowing with carrots, and now it's about half the size that it was at the beginning, right? Which is what we want, because we want that concentrated taste and flavor inside each of those carrots. You can also see that all the chicken broth that we use has now evaporated, leaving us with some crisp golden carrots. We'll check back in a couple of minutes. Thanks for watching. Excellent. So now let's have a look at these carrots. As you can see, they've now gotten nice dark brown coloring to them, which is exactly what we want. That's the result of the maple syrup sinking in with the crispiness of the heat and caramelizing of the carrots. All right, so now we're going to turn off our heat. Okay, so now we have our carrots right here. They're ready to be eaten. I would recommend letting them cool off, maybe about 10 or 15 minutes, getting some of that vapor out of them. But you're gonna see they are absolutely delicious. I would suggest that you eat them either with some kind of meat, maybe a pork loin, maybe a side, as a side dish along with a steak or roast beef or something of the sort. That's always a good option. For the vegetarians out there, I would probably eat them as a main dish, maybe removing the bacon and the chicken broth, replacing the chicken broth with some vegetable broth, and you have yourself a wonderful vegetarian dish. All right, so folks, this is going to be our dinner tonight for Elliot, Matthias, and myself. And we're certainly going to enjoy it. And I hope that you and your family enjoy just as much as we do. All right, thanks for watching, and we'll be back soon for another edition of Cooking for the Real World with Cookman G.